YNW Melly trial. You know, we do God's work, not hard work. You know what I'm saying? Let's get right to it, man. Hit the button on the way in.
It was lucky because that many bullet holes, I was surprised he didn't get hit.
And you had worked a detail at Miramar Hospital prior to October 26, 2018.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you generally familiar with their video surveillance system?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had a chance prior to today to review?
I'm bugging or dude. This woman sound like a whole man.
I'm showing opposing counsel what's been pre-marked as States 8 for identification.
Now, for people that don't know what's going on with this, that don't really know, old boy is accused of, you know what I'm saying? You know, him and his homies, they was in the, they'll explain, you know what I mean? I just don't believe that they went to the hospital and told the hospital that these cats was caught in a drive-by. They were on camera and all that. Watch this.
Officer, do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you recognize it?
My initials are on the top there.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the events that occurred back on October 26th of 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Any alterations or deletions based on your
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state moves into evidence which is pre-marked as States A as States 1.
This case right here is bizarre. Now, y'all remember he had a song. A lot of people probably don't know the details of this, but this right here, just know this. It's hard as fuck to get the death penalty where he at. You know what I'm saying? And they trying to get this cat the death penalty, man. That's what they talking about.
For the trial, this and all other items of evidence received in evidence will be available to you for your examination during your deliberations at the end of the trial.
I just want to see that videotape footage.
You may publish. You LIVESTREAM, Councilman?
A whole weirdo.
Most people have no clue that in 2023,
I didn't know they had them on. I think they got them on camera going inside the hospital or something. You know what I'm saying? We're going to check it out.
Excuse me. Can you see? Can you tilt the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hold on.
And officer, before I play the video, I see that there are two angles present. The Pembroke.
Word up, sub up to on Wax Dog channel. Give me a second.
Southeast corner of Pembroke Road and 162nd Avenue. So the hospital multiple entrances to get to the property is an ER building on the north side and a medical office building.
Wax, drop your link to your channel so I can spotlight that shit. That's how I can pin it.
South to go to the ER from Pembroke.
Yeah, that's his new channel. You know what I'm saying? You know we don't get enough hate on Wax Dog channels. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the new joint. You know what I mean? Word up.
And officer, so we don't have to go through the entire video. Did you recognize the vehicle that just entered the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that the vehicle that you observed, that you testified to earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Going to publish the outside ER entrance? What are we seeing on the screen right now?
So this is the sidewalk portion I was telling you about. Immediately on the bottom left corner of the screen, we just see those white dashes. That's where the cars drive through. With dashes referred when the see pedestrians walking across into the ER. Then there's a sidewalk portion, and these are the two doors of the ER. The left door on the Left side of the video is the ER.
In case y'all been on the rock, he accused of killing 2 of his homeboys with 2 of his other homeboys.
Middle is the park bench, right behind that glass is a security desk. I'm sitting in the middle of both of those doors.
And that subject that we see in the video,
That's the gentleman that the person made.
continuing to publish.
Hit that like button, y'all. Real cute in the city.
I'm going to pause the video at 4:36 and 11 seconds. We see a second individual in the video frame. Can you recognize that person?
Yeah, that's me.
Publishing, continue.
Like stuff. Okay, that's no boy. So they riding around with dead bodies. They try to go to the hospital and say that they were shot in the drive-by. Booyah.
I'm going to pause the video at 4:36:51. Is this the
Now it's these new drugs they taking, wax.
that you had him sit down, Cortland Henry?
Okay.
Now, you can't see the Jeep in the video frame, is that correct?
Yes.
The Jeep would be located at the bottom left, my left of the
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Grand Coin, your whole shit fell apart, man. You better not make no more videos on me, nigga. This channel's wide open for me to fuck over somebody. You know what I'm saying? Not this channel. The one that you're about to see right now.
Need to publish.
That's me telling security guard I need medical staff.
Y'all go over there and subscribe to that King of Receipts too. I heard it's popping over there. God's work.
Putting on gloves to.
I'm gonna try a trick to cut the commercials out. Let me see this. I heard if you do this. Let me see something. Give me a second. 136.51. My bad, y'all. 1 second. Okay. God's work is happening in the background. You know what I'm saying? Real Keys to the City podcast. My brother in the building. You know what I'm saying? 134. All right. Here we go. We're back. God's beloved work. If we go to the commercial and you don't see me for a while, don't worry about that. Just stay where you at.
Where you indicated to us earlier that you had him sit down, Cortland Henry.
Okay.
Now, you can't see the Jeep in the video frame, is that correct?
Yes.
The Jeep would be located at the bottom left, my left of the
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
Okay. And I noticed that you approached and you were talking into something. What was that?
That's my patrol radio.
Okay. Was that your how you were able to request assistance?
Yes, ma'am.
Continuing to publish.
That's me telling security guard I need medical staff. putting envelopes to check for pulse.
And I see you're continuing to talk to that subject that you identified as Cortland Henry.
Yes, ma'am.
And I see at this point, it looks like some other officers are responding.
Yes, ma'am.
Are those officers at the Miramar Police Department itself?
Yes, ma'am. That's gonna be Officer Natasha Torres. And that's gonna be Officer Hession.
Joint was crazy blurry, man. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what was going on. They not explaining it. Give me a second. Tamiki, a salute. Lansky, you already know. Like that Reggie. She looked nervous as fuck. Alright. Give me a second, y'all. Let me move it up a little bit.
Find shell casings that would be.
I see.
Where this occurred.
Okay. And did you remain on scene even after the video ended, the duration of the video where other police officers arrived?
Yes, so my detail work is until 6 a.m. and proximates happen at 4 and change, so I'll be there until 6.
Were you charged with any other investigative duties?
No,
So this ends your involvement in the case.
yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, no further questions at this time.
Any cross?
Yes. May I?
You may.
Officer, when this person you've identified as Mr. Henry came in, did you notice that he was wearing a black hoodie?
Yes, sir.
And I assume that whatever he said would be documented in your report. Is that correct?
What it said initially, yes.
And the questions that you asked him, you would document his responses if he said anything, correct?
Whatever you responded to, I would write to put out evidentiary wise, I put it on the radio, but I did not write a complete report of our entire dialogue, no.
You did not.
Our entire dialogue, no.
You did not document the location or streets, signs in your report?
I didn't know exactly where this took place, so whatever I could put on the radio, and officers to canvas, I did.
Approximately what time was Mr. Henry taken to a patient room?
I don't,
Were you aware he was taken to a patient room?
yes, sir.
Do you know what officers or what doctors saw him?
No, sir.
Were you present when Mr. Henry left the hospital?
No, sir.
Are you aware that he left the hospital?
Eventually, I assume he had to leave the hospital, but I don't know exactly what time he left the hospital.
When this vehicle first arrived, it was nighttime, correct?
Yes, sir.
What time did you get off?
6 a.m.
Was it still dark outside?
I don't recall.
Do you recall anybody or any persons arriving other than police officers?
It's a hospital. They remember them shutting down the ER because of the situation. So anybody would be routed through the main hospital entrance to in and out. But in terms of law enforcement staff, you have other officers, detectives, crime scene techs.
I'm primarily asking you, by the time you got off at 6 a.m., did you see any civilians, not police officers, any civilians arrive at the hospital?
I don't recall. If they did, they could have been rerouted to the front.
Okay, but to your knowledge, there were no civilians that came where you were, correct?
Inside the crime scene,
No, inside the hospital, where we saw Mr. Henry walking towards your desk, or words to that effect.
so like I explained, the hospital entrance, the ER was shut down because of the nature of the crime scene. So it's still a hospital, so anybody Googles it, it's open. So any civilians could have walked up to the ER and were rerouted to the front, but I wasn't in charge of the crime scene. I have no idea if anybody passed the threshold of the crime scene taken into that particular
The
area.
crime scene was the Jeep.
The drive-through, so including the Jeep.
Was the crime scene also inside the hospital where Mr. Cortland Henry was?
Yeah, the whole ER was shut down
Okay, so in other words, no one was allowed in that area that we saw.
unless they were needing emergency care, that would go to another room, but the ER was shut down.
So I'm real clear. Do you know the names of all, did you document the names of all the officers and detectives that responded?
No, I didn't.
So we're perfectly clear. Could you stand up? You didn't see this young man getting out of the Jeep at any time, correct?
No, sir.
Can I have one moment?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting you.
Council, is there any,
Yo, his face is so fucking weird.
Officer, when you're speaking into your radio or speaking to dispatch, is that logged in any manner?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that called?
That's the central dispatch radio traffic. It's public record, so anybody can request it, but it's documented.
So everything you were saying or everything you communicated from what Mr. Henry told you would be documented in your dispatch log.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if he innocent, free him, salute. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't want to see nobody in jail, but the thing that they're accusing him of, they're saying that he killed two of his homies and rode around with their bodies in the trunk, bro.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further on it.
Ain't the type of homie I like. You know what I'm saying? The type of homie, we come on, let's go get some weed, the next thing you know, I'm in the casket.
thank you. Recording next week.
But he's an innocent, free him.
John Ketchum.
There's a difference between gangster and psycho.
Good morning, are you John Hedge? Yes, sir. Welcome, this is our witness stand. Come on up here for a second. When you get here, just remain standing. Raise your right hand, be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you should give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You state your full name for the record.
Full name is John Hedgeman,
You spell your first and last name.
John, and last name is Hettchen.
Have a seat. That microphone in front of you, do not move back or forth, it just goes up or down, just up or down.
Yes, sir.
You all set?
Yes, sir.
Count you, man.
Thank you. Good morning, Officer Hudson. How are you today?
Good morning, Harry.
Very well, thank you for asking. Where do you work?
Currently employed with Boca Raton Police Department,
How long have you worked for the Boca Raton Police Department?
going on 4 years.
What hats have you worn at Boca?
When I first started, I was assigned to road patrol, and now I'm assigned to their tactical team.
Prior to joining the Boca Raton Police Department, have you had any other law enforcement experience?
Yes, with Miramar Police Department,
How long were you with the Miramar Police Department?
a little over 2 years.
Can you describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the type of training and education you had before becoming a police officer with Miramar?
Yes, I went through the academy, did 6 months in the academy. Once I got out of the academy, did 3 to 4 months on FTO with Miramar Police Department, and then throughout my time with them, get in-service training, which is additional training, on top of all that.
Any particular reason for switching to the Boca Raton Police Department?
Just personal reasons.
Back on October 26th of 2018, were you employed by the Miramar Police Department?
Yes,
What was your job description?
road patrol.
Do you remember what shift you were working?
Yes, night shift.
And can you describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what is the alpha or night shift?
Night shift, called midnights. I worked from 9 p.m. to 7 in the morning.
On October 26th of 2018, did you have an occasion to respond to Memorial Miramar Hospital?
Yes.
Why did you go there?
That was my assigned zone for the night. So I responded to that.
If you can explain to the ladies and gentlemen what you mean by assigned zone.
Each officer is assigned a zone for a specific area in the city. And from Memorial Regional, or Miramar, Memorial, having to be my zone.
Do you recall about what time you arrived at the hospital?
Around 4:30 in the morning.
When you arrived, what did you see?
When I got there, I saw an SUV in the Sally Port area of the entrance of the hospital, the emergency, bay. The doors were open of the vehicle. So I got out of the vehicle, I immediately saw hospital staff running back and forth to the vehicle. So I went over to assist them. When I got to the vehicle, I saw 2 victims, one in the right.
You make me better through any kind of weather. I'll be true. Darling, you've got me and I've got you. There's a whole world to see and a whole lot to do. Darling, you got me, yeah. And I got you.
If you
Passenger seat, one in the back right passenger seat, appeared to be suffering from gunshot wounds. So what I did is assist hospital staff with quickly getting them to the stretcher and into the hospital to receive medical treatment.
After you did that, what was your job assignment there at the hospital?
After that, I stayed by the vehicle. At that point, we had a crime scene. So I started a crime scene log and stayed by the paper to make sure no one tampered with anything or anything of that nature.
When you said you started a crime scene log, you explained to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that is and how it works.
Crime scene log, basically, for this particular incident, one of the officers that arrives on scene, preferably one of the first officers that arrives on scene, starts a log. The log basically starts logging people in and out that who enter the crime scene. The crime scene being, will set up crime scene tape. Anyone who enters the tape will get logged up in the crime scene.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of that crime scene log with you?
Yes, I do.
Could you be so kind as to name the individuals that are documented on your crime scene log?
Yes. First officer would be Officer Melly.
When you do the documentation, do you put the times of which they enter and leave?
Yes.
Do you put a reason as to why they are on the crime scene?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. As to Officer Anangor, what time did she arrive?
I believe she was already on scene. She was the detail officer, so on the actual crime scene log, I just have her listed as the detail officer.
And the next officer that is documented,
Officer Torres,
after that,
myself,
after that,
Officer Cox,
after that,
Officer Luna.
and in terms of the time frame that we're at now, are we still before 5 a.m.?
Yes.
Dr. Officer Luna, who's next?
Officer Malad,
Who else?
Officer Valdez,
Then the next person on the list, who is that?
Holly Henderson, who is a security officer.
You document that purpose there?
Yes.
With regards to the time out, for Officer Anangor, do you document on there what time she left at?
I believe she stayed past the time I was there. I was relieved by another officer on scene who took over the crime scene.
And do you recall about what time you turned over the crime?
Big like Venezuela Reds right here.
I believe it was around 6.
Yeah, I see, baby.
Can you tell based on the handwriting on the log as to which entries are yours and which are from someone else?
Yes.
So continuing on to the next officer or employee of Miramar Police Department that you documented on the crime scene log, who is that?
Sergeant Step.
And what purpose is Sergeant Step in there for?
I believe he's one of the sergeants working at the time, and he was just part of the investigation.
Okay. And the next individual that you documented,
Sergeant Bermudez,
after that,
Sergeant Worth,
and then who?
Officer Herrera,
After that, the next two detectives, who did you document?
Detective Bertland, and Detective Moretti.
And as to those two detectives, what are the times of arrival for Bertrand?
Time in is 5:53, and Detective Moretti was at 6:02.
He's also telling about who
is the area around the G. Do you document each and every individual who's coming into the hospital?
No, I do not.
What types of things do you do to ensure scene security?
Crime scene tape, making sure people don't cross the crime scene tape, and then in and out of the hospital.
Did any civilians
Nigga says duty is crime scene tape.
there on the outside?
There may be one or two that came up that we told them they can't come through.
And when I say civilians, are you including in that definition medical personnel and hospital staff?
Yes.
Any statements or recollection that you have of any interaction with Portland Henry, the driver of that vehicle?
I do not believe I had any conversations.
No further questions, Alex?
Others any cross this witness?
One question, can I do it from here?
Yes, sir.
When you left at 6:45, roughly, it
All
was
right, here we
still dark outside, wasn't it?
I don't recall.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Is this witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Judge.
Agreed.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short recess. Do not discuss the case. Don't form any opinion about the case. Don't allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence or do no research. Just leave your notepad on your chair. We'll be back with you shortly. Thank you.
Chairs, to make it easier.
Are you a low-income American?
Unless,
I think Derek, you can pass it out to him, sure. And you've seen the transcript as well, Mr. Howard?
In the girl that's blue.
Well, we want to, you saw it, but I want to see what they're handing out.
of course, please do.
I can't get past his face, man. If y'all don't know that these are the new brand of kids out here, man, then you in the wrong fucking dimension. You know what I'm saying? These niggas is playing different, period. You know? That's why they always saying demon time and shit like that. You gotta think, when you say demon time too many times, guess what you summoning? Words or spirits. Remember that, y'all. Words or spirits. I'm trying to figure out, Remy.
Exactly.
That's a big fact. Pause. You know what I'm saying? That's why we say God's time. We say God's. Face.
Your Honor, I assume that after the papers played, Gary will collect those transcripts.
That's correct. They're not evidence per se. They don't go back with the jury and they don't hold on. But you've seen the transcript, is that correct? And it's not disputed?
Whether he's free or not, he gonna have a hard life. You can tell a person's spirit, man. All you gotta do is look at his face.
You're good? Everybody's good? It's not disputed. I know Mr. Adelstein asked me to take a look at it, so I just want to make sure.
Let's not forget, man, for the niggas that's talking about free him, this is also a little nigga that was wearing dresses and all that shit, killing shit.
Based on the representation, that it's identical to what we were given.
How many pages?
It's,
20 pages, 25 pages about.
25 pages. Based on the representation.
Yeah, and the kid that was with him that did it, because they said there was 4 of them in the car. You know what I'm saying? So
We're gonna read that. at the appropriate time. All right, so Gary, you can just do one on each of the chairs?
Yes, sir.
I feel like his co-defendant was supposed to be the fall guy, and he reneged last minute.
Counsel?
Remember, without the co-defendant, you ain't got no case.
I guess.
There are two statements, one is very short, one is longer.
Ooh, that's what I said too, Remy girl. That's what I said too. I thought I was getting off. Newsflash, when that guilty verdict came back, my whole spirit, I couldn't even switch my face. I had to keep my face like, I had to still act like I was tough. Because I knew it was a role to play after that. But this guy is in a different dimension.
That's just for both statements, not being disputed.
Showing defense counsel before we start.
Understand authority yet. He rolling his eyes, his demeanor, you know what I'm saying? Trust me when I tell you, people pick up on these micro expressions, man. It's what they judge you on. Now, in your mind, without us putting a verdict on him before it happens, just by looking at him, do y'all think he's guilty? See, me, I would say I don't know. I could say that I think that he's guilty, he's not. But again, my experience might be a little bit different than yours. I have so much time spent around murderers and killers and niggas that thought they was tough. You feel me? So my opinion is a little bit different. I don't have no opinion. You know, if you had to pull teeth with me, I would say yes, he did it. But I'm not here to judge nobody. And in fact, like if they ever called me to be on somebody's jury, which they tried a few times, you know what I pulled? I'm a felon card. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be responsible for that. The person can have all the signs that they did some shit that was foul and wasn't even them. But you got to think what type of music he's putting out. He putting out music about killing his friends, and then he actually goes out and does it. You know what I'm saying? Or gets accused of it. And it's not just him being accused of it. You got to understand there's a lot to this case, man. That's why you're talking death penalty. Because, like I said, there's a difference between gangster and psycho, you know? Some of these niggas is, you know what I mean, undiagnosed something. Fuck rides around with two dead bodies or they friends, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they take him to the hospital. He's laughing. He's about to laugh. Life is on the line. There's no time for smiling because of a person that's facing a death penalty. Think about what I'm trying to tell you. A death penalty means the end of all shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? Once that liquid go in your motherfucking veins. And what they giving them down there in Florida? Is old Sparky still being used down there? Old Sparky, just in case y'all don't know, is a nickname for the the chair. That's what they call a chair, Old Sparky. I don't think they do that no more. I think they just shove it in your veins now. You know what I'm saying? And let your life come out while niggas watch. While people watch. Who the fuck want to be witness to somebody dying like that, man? Don't you know you oh man. I hope he's not guilty. You know what I'm saying? But don't look like it to me, man.
What is that?
These niggas are so more concerned with upholding the image than upholding the reality that like, bro, you about to get your whole shit going, your whole rap career. You was in it for the rap career. These niggas just smoking niggas like that. That's why I see why they putting these niggas or say they put niggas in packs. Because how often do you smoke weed? A lot. How many times you crack a pack? That's why killing niggas is equivalent to smoking a pack now. You know what I'm saying? Because you smoke, you know what I'm saying? You can't say I'm wearing socks. Because you might wear socks longer than you smoke weed. You might wear a pack of socks. Listen, $60 worth of socks. Let's see. $60 worth of socks will last me maybe fucking 3 years. $60 worth of weed lasts me about 3 days, if that. Not even that. Not where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? God's work, not mine. For y'all that think that I'm so harsh, Do I need to show y'all pictures of this nigga before he got locked up? I think for the fuck of it, I am.
Christine?
Yes.
Just so you,
Yeah.
I didn't realize the time.
All set? Everybody ready to proceed?
Yes.
Yes? All right, call your, let's bring jury in, then call your next witness.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you some scary shit, right? Look at that kid's face right there. Look at that face. Look at that face, right? My fucking 5-year-old son, when he was 5, he's not 5 anymore, was singing, I got murder on my mind. Murder on my mind. Murder, murder on my mind. He didn't know what the fuck he was singing. My son didn't know what he was singing. He was singing shit from this nigga right here. And I was like, who the fuck is this? And I went and seen this. I said, it's Young Thug. And this ain't the dress that I'm talking about. Okay? This ain't what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Let me go look for this dress. I seen this nigga in a whole dress. I seen this video, it scared the fuck out of me. Let me type wearing a dress. Watch this shit. I'm telling you, man, if y'all go look at my other stories on YNW Melly, you're gonna understand something about Mac Mean. Yeah, I like to go outside the algorithm, and I don't mind these smaller rooms, you know what I'm saying, to get a bigger point across. Let me see. There you go, right there. The wedding dress. I mean, I can't, listen, who am I to knock these niggas' fashion? You know what I'm saying? But the fashion, when the fashion accompanies murder on my mind, my son was singing that shit. I was like, what the fuck is this? They kept on playing that song. They was playing it in school. You know what I'm saying? YNW Melly. What the fuck are they doing? Come on, man. This nigga is young enough to be some of y'all kids, man. Y'all let your son go upstairs. See, Biggie and me, you guess what we was doing? I was hiding the shit I was stealing and hustling for up on the roof, which might have been some 40 below boots, a leather jacket, a gun, or some shit. You know what I'm saying? But these niggas is hiding the whole motherfucking mascara case up on the roof. And they leaving out the house like boys. And then they turn in, they got pink locks. These niggas will kill you, man. Y'all remember my little man that used to be with me? You know what I'm saying? Well, his name was Skep Gambino. Had him in the studio. He's be in my IGs all the time. He's like 14, 15, 16. That nigga turned 17, and guess what he did? He's accused of a third of the murders in Cincinnati in 2021. A third of them. A third of them. He admitted, matter of fact, he copped out the first one. And yo, this kid is so fucking, his name, look up Jason Gray, Cincinnati. Look up Jason Gray and then go to my IG and you're going to see him all over the IG with me. You know what I'm saying? They accuse this nigga of doing contract murders. He had more than 4 bodies all over the news. And then when they got him up in there, you know what I'm saying? Like, so his niggas wouldn't get caught or whatever. He copped out to it all. And guess what? Before they knew he copped out, them niggas was already snitching. He told them what he did. After they got him, they caught him out in Louisville. But the point I'm trying to make is that I'll slowly watch Shorty turn. It started with his mother dying. You know what I'm saying? His grandmother used to drop him off downtown. They cared about this kid. I'm talking about he was so fed out here. I didn't understand it. When I used to go drop him off to go back home, my nigga, right? I used to see at least 20 at least 20 machine guns in that project, man. I'm talking about niggas knocking on my side door with the nozzle of the gun. Kid wasn't the one. You know what I'm saying? These little niggas, you might get them twisted because how they look. You know what I'm saying? Because it accompanies some other shit. And some of them is humble and they more serious than we are and they able to be reached. You know what I'm saying? They able to be reached. But this music, my nigga, that they pumping, that shit fuels everything. The hip hop. What y'all call hip hop is not what I call hip hop. And the BPM is different. Understand, the vibration is completely different than when we started, when we came out here. God's word. Hit the link. I'm gonna drop it in a second. You understand, Remy? And Remy, you already know I met Remy, like the whole Pop Smoke situation. She had her antennas up about that shit since day one. Since day one. Am I lying? Miss Benzo, my friendzo, we got a serious problem, y'all. Trust me, pay attention to your kids' music and all that. My son was up in here, my other son, the older one, right? He was writing rhymes. I looked in his rhyme book, and guess what he was talking about? He's talking about drilling the ops. So I'm glad he going to the Marine soon. You know what I'm saying? Because he was talking about drilling the ops. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're like, you listen to Earl Sweatshirt, but yet you want to come out as a rapper mimicking who? NBA Youngboy. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's no surprise why NBA, and first of all, academics is covering this, right? NBA Youngboy is supposed to be academics' man. You know what academics did? Cut NBA Youngboy's throat and start rocking with Dirk, knowing that they got all these issues. Now we dig into the Dirk issue. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you what we got. When you dig into the little Dirk issue, look what you pulling out. You pulling out Chief Keef now. What happened with in Chi-Town? Y'all don't understand. Like Chi-Town's always been a problem, but it wasn't a problem like this drill time shit y'all got right now. Let me explain something. They gave Chief Keef $4 million fucking dollars. $4 million. The fucking murder rate went up so high. That nigga moved to California. I don't know where the fuck Chief Keef went. He do not live in. I mean, he's in the West Coast somewhere. He's in somewhere funny, just like NBA Youngboy. You know what I'm saying? We raising demons, man. Look at this kid's face, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel bad for this little nigga. I feel bad for this little nigga that think he tough. Killed your friends. If you did. Two ways to look at this. You either did it or you didn't. Either way it goes, whether you did or you didn't, the advice I'm about to send out to these little niggas is gonna be the same, whether you guilty or not, nigga. You don't know shit, nigga. You need to pay attention. Yeah, this is the trial right here, Blizzard. You know what I'm saying? This kid is accused of killing two of his homies. And the problem is, the big thing with this is that they try to get this kid the death penalty. Yeah, NBA is on house arrest. And he's ranting and he going crazy. He going hot. He going cold. He going hot. He going cold. I like when he was talking about he's going to change his music and all that. We all believe that shit for 5 seconds. Now look at this. Rest in peace, Pop Smoke. Oh, how easy do we forget that they all locked up and dead? You know what I'm saying? Look, Pop Smoke. It seems like a memory, right? But in some people's minds, it's still fresh. Some people, you know what I'm saying, just can't believe that. Even with YNW Melly, I kind of like the fact that he's an artist. You know what I mean? I don't like the brand he's pushing. You know what I'm saying? But what is that? That's just a lack of motherfucking guidance. These niggas is in their own world. No OGs that'll be around them. Let these now all y'all old niggas that be watching this show, right? Raise your hand. You know what I'm saying? If you'll let a little nigga act crazy around you that you got control of. Raise your hand. And tell me that you ain't got no control. And then I'm going to tell you that you ain't no OG. Go sit your fucking stupid ass down, nigga. Sit your fucking faggot ass down. This nigga all of 25 years old. He have to do what the fuck I tell him to do. So that's what I'm saying. Most niggas is built like me. I'm not different than a regular average man that's around a 25-year-old. Would you let a 25-year-old nigga come to your house and run in his house and put his feet up? If so, you a bitch. You know what I'm saying? So what I say stands, and what I say is a fact. They lacking the OGs, real OGs. You don't got no real guidance around you. If you got guidance around you, guess what? You don't perform. Look, even AWACS. Look at AWACS, Minister Society, man. AWACS. Mind you, he was teaching them niggas how to drill. And they did what he said then too. Old dog was killing shit. He's like, pass my fucking weed, nigga. Because they was the students. You're always going to be a student. When these little niggas, you know what I'm saying? But it's up to you, some of y'all to not just look at them and be like, fuck them. They bugging out. Because guess what? The OGs ain't say that with us. They instilled in us a little bit more. We hit our blunts when we seen them niggas pulling up. You know what I'm saying? If I rob a nigga, the OG might rob me. Right after that, thought you was tough, huh? It's just sad to see this kid face, man. Thinking about his life flashing in front of him. But yet trying to uphold the image. Nigga, you crying in your cell. That's what he need to be depicting right now. You need to be crying, nigga. Either crying for yourself or crying for the niggas that's dead. See? If you didn't do it, if you didn't do this, you should be crying or mad. You should be throwing chairs. You should be spitting like Pac. You didn't do this, you should be spitting like Pac. Shitting in your hand and throwing it at the court, making them think you crazy. Yo, nigga, y'all not going about to fry me for this? Say me, nigga. Fuck y'all talking about? Fix this up. God's word. Right? Fix this up. The reaction of a nigga that's innocent, or this gotta be psycho. You gotta be psycho if you don't know these people will take your fucking life, nigga. American life is precious around this bitch to some people, depending on how famous you are. Hello? Pretty famous. Look like they trying to make an example, man. They trying to use this kid to create a new law where they could start killing niggas. Let's be fair before this plays out. Without that other kid, you do not have YNW Melly. So we gotta look at it both ways. This is sad looking at his face. Curry entering. Got a good barber up in there. Definitely ain't no pussy in there unless it's attached to the back of a nigga. Whole lot of lotion though, and crying. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to act tough, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to act tough. That cell done seen many niggas cry. That cell done heard many niggas yell. That cell is different. That cell hit different, nigga. That cell hit different. Especially when you only got a roach as your best friend. You know what I'm saying? And you keeping that motherfucker alive. Like, you waking up like, where's my roach at? This nigga done. You know what I'm saying? Like, where he at? Where's the spider at that was right here? You know what I'm saying? Now, this nigga like wearing dresses and shit like that. He probably good. Right where he always wanted to be. You never know, man. And like Tasha said, like that mental illness, if his mother just, you know, like overlooked it, then, you know, that's crazy. But we see shit in our kids that we don't want to admit, huh?
Thank you. Let the word reflect the words of the defendant, his counsel.
Your point guard, that roach hit different. That roach hit different. I used to make my roaches kill each other. You know what I'm saying? Eat their head off, all type of shit. I was weird. I don't know. The spiders, I have more love for the spiders, but I know some niggas that play with roaches.
State attorney, ladies and gentlemen, jury, please proceed.
I just make them kill each other, man. I had a fucked up sense of humor.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Did feed the birds. Me when I was on Killer Calf company, I think 22 company B Block Attica. The birds used to come like right before Jeopardy. The birds would come over there, and I fed them, and I didn't even make them eat each other. Proud of myself.
in your absence, I had Gary leave two transfers on your chairs. We're going to get to those in a few moments. When it's appropriate, I'll ask you to open those up, and I'll have an instruction to read before we do that. But at this time, I'm going to ask the state to call its next witness.
Hector Bertrand, Your Honor.
Mr. Bertrand, please. Good morning, you are Hector Bertrand?
Yes, sir.
Welcome, come on up here, please. When you get to that witness stand, just remain standing, raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
To state your full legal name for the record.
Hector Bertrand,
You
Jr.,
spell your first and last name for the court.
Hector, E as in boy, Ertrand.
Thank you, please be seated. Bertrand, that microphone in front of you only adjusts up or down, not back and forth, all right? See a little too high? All set, ready to go? Counsel, you may.
Thank you. Good morning. Could you please introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Retired detective, homicide detective, Hector Bertrand, Miramar Police Department.
Congratulations on your retirement. How long have you been retired?
About 2.5 years,
Prior to that, how long did you work for the Miramar Police Department?
28 years.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury some of the different hats you wore while employed for the Miramar Police Department?
Initially, after graduating the academy, I did a couple years in road patrol. Then there was a position open in Detective Bureau as like a training position that was going to be for 6 months and then go back to road. I never left the Detective Bureau. I did a couple years in juvenile and sex crimes. I did 10 years in undercover narcotics. And then the last 15 years was in homicide.
During the course of your time in the homicide unit, how many cases were you involved in the investigation of?
A lot.
Is there
I couldn't give you a number, a lot.
more than 100?
Yes,
With regards to the homicide unit back in October 26th of 2018, were you employed with the Miramar Police Department then?
yes, ma'am.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen a little bit about the training and education classes you take while
Remy. Oh, he's telling his credentials. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Ren, what up?
What up, though?
Chilling.
Can't show the jury.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
does that map fairly and accurately depict the Miramar geography from I-75 through 172nd from Miramar Parkway north to Pembroke Road?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would request me to Estates E and Estates 2 and publish.
Any objection?
No objection.
It's submitted.
If I may.
You may publish.
Thank you.
States B, Mark States C.
So Detective Bertrand, this is a small version. I have a bigger version that's identical to make it easier for the jurors to see. Thank you so much. So a large copy of what's been shown as admitted as state C. If you could show on here exactly which area is I-75 and Miramar Parkway.
This is I-75, and there's an exit here from Miramar Parkway.
And what,
Garrett, one second. Garrett,
Yes, Judge.
can you move the screen back a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
and Ted, could you be so kind as to step down so we can use the easel?
Sure.
Thank you. Council, do you need to move, please? So if you could show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, where is I-75 and Miramar Parkway?
Right here. Yes,
What direction does Miramar Parkway travel?
East and west.
Can you point out some of the locations on Miramar Parkway? I'm gonna start with Bo Camper's Restaurant.
Okay, Bo Campers is, I believe right around here.
Okay. You're pointing to an area north of a water feature.
Yes.
What other locations and restaurants are in that area?
There's a Marshall's around here, there's a Home Goods, there's a Chick-fil-A, there's a gas station here in the corner, there's a Benihana's, there's a Home Depot, Anthony's Cold Pizza, there's a bunch of places.
So you said Chick-fil-A and Home Depot. Those are the two I'm gonna stick with over here. Okay. Moving along, can you show the ladies and gentlemen what is Southwest 160th Avenue on the map?
This is 160th, which is also Dykes Road.
Does the name change depending on the jurisdiction of which the city or county is in?
I guess, yeah, yes.
And,
We know it as Dykes or 160th.
okay, moving further west, what's the next
Great minds think alike, Shakira. I'm thinking about that same thing.
major intersection that's reflected on this map on the far left on Miramar Parkway?
The next major intersection is gonna be over here, which is 172nd. On this side is Silver Lakes Development. Over on this side is the Miramar, the hospital, which is I believe here. And then there's a regional park. On this side, there's a Target here, a Winn-Dixie, Pollo Tropical, and liquor store.
Okay, so Pollo Tropical, you indicated is on Miramar
Yes.
Parkway before 172nd, if you were headed
Yeah,
westbound?
it's right around here somewhere. I think this is Target,
Does 172nd run north and south?
north and south, yes.
Can you show the ladies and gentlemen where is Pembroke Road on this map?
It's right up here, runs again east and west.
I like my
There's no exit off of 75 to Pembroke Road, and it goes out.
Okay. So I want to move on to what's been marked as state C for identification purposes. You have an opportunity to look at those maps prior to coming into court today. Don't let the ladies and gentlemen Jersey.
He's doing a lot of shaking.
Yes,
Detective, do those two maps fairly and accurately depict the intersections between 160th and 172nd in the first one, and then 172nd and 184th in the second map?
yes,
To your knowledge and experience working in the city of Miramar, is it an accurate measurement that it is 1 mile between each of those two intersections?
I know for a fact the one from 160th to 172nd, because I actually measured that when when we searched that area. The one from 172nd to 184th sounds about right, but I don't know for a fact.
Without saying exact, is that?
Yeah.
Definitely correct in terms of the distance between the two intersections.
Yes.
At this time, the state representative states C and states pretty much to the jury.
An extent that it might indicate that it's a mile when the witness said he cannot attest.
Let's see you do. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah.
Objection overruled. It'll be admitted.
State C or state C three.
Yeah, the published very slightly larger version of state C. This one is double-sided. Detective Bertrand, if you could indicate on here, you mentioned a Toyota Tropical. Do you point that out to ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Okay, and you said a Chick-fil-A as well.
Chick-fil-A is going to be around here somewhere.
And if you could indicate here what intersection is to the right side where the yellow line starts at Miramar Parkway.
Over here, this is Dykes.
160th?
And Miramar Parkway, 160.
And at the far
All right, I'm gonna do y'all the biggest favor in the world, and I'm gonna show you. Basically, this guy breaks the case down so y'all can understand why this trial's happening in the first place.
Jamel Demons, known as YNW Melly, is a rapper based in Florida. In 2019, the Florida rapper was arrested in connection to the passing of his two best friends, YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie. With the trial beginning soon, here's all the evidence on YNW Melly, statements from witnesses, and even the confession video from Melly. The court documents reveal on October 26, 2018 at 3:30 a.m., YNW Melly was leaving a recording studio with YNW Portland, Sack Chaser, and Juvie. The four rappers hopped inside of the Jeep. YNW Portland, being the driver of the vehicle, had YNW Melly sitting behind him. Then with YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie sitting on the opposite side of the car. While driving home,
Okay, wait. Let's look at the layout.
Sack Chaser and Juvie. The four rappers hopped inside of the Jeep. YNW Portland, being the driver of the vehicle, had YNW Melly sitting behind him. Then,
All right, so the driver is homie, and then he's sitting behind the driver. So the two niggas that got killed was sitting on the passenger side in the front and the back.
with YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie sitting on the opposite side of the car. While driving home, YNW Portland drove the vehicle into a parking lot on the side street. The vehicle sitting in park. Law enforcement believe that YNW Portland created a distraction inside of the car, while YNW Melly did the act towards YNW Sack Chaser and Juvie. With the car sitting in park for roughly 30 minutes, GPS evidence showed that YNW Melly stepping out of the Jeep, walking around it in a circle twice before hopping back in. The theory is YNW Melly stepped out of the car and used his firearm towards it, making it appear as if they went through a drive-by from a rival street member. After some time passed, YNW Portland then drove Sack Chaser and Juvie to the local hospital for medical attention. Meanwhile, YNW Melly sprinted home on foot down the street. 3 hours after the incident, law enforcement noticed that YNW Melly revealed in his Instagram DM something concerning. YNW Melly was having a conversation with the burner account about what just happened, as the passing of YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie just hit the news headlines.
This nigga is saying rest in peace before they fucking even find the nigga type shit. See now everything I said from earlier, don't just like look, they do anything for clout, man. Damn, I didn't even know this shit.
After some time passed, YNW Portland then drove Sack Chaser and Juvie to the local hospital
I
for
didn't know that
medical
part.
attention. Meanwhile, YNW Melly sprinted home on foot down the street. 3 hours after the incident, law enforcement noticed that YNW Melly revealed in his Instagram DM something concerning. YNW Melly was having a conversation with the burner account about what just happened, as the passing of YNW Sack Chaser.
So he's discussed. Yo, this is mental illness. This is mental illness. So they leaving the studio, right? They leaving the Ugio. These two cats with his other homie, right? So before they know what's going on, this nigga already telling on himself. That's just concerning, man. And these are the two that got killed. So that's why this trial is going on. But let him finish.
And YNW Juvie just hit the news headlines, as reported by Complex, stated by a new piece of evidence saying there is one Instagram exchange that took place hours after the passings, which was obtained by Complex via a public records request. In it, Melly's Instagram account says, "I did that," in one message, followed 2 minutes later by another message saying, "Shh."
This nigga fucked his whole life up. Dumb motherfucker. This nigga fucked his whole life up. I thought he was stupid just by the way he looked. You know what I'm saying? But this showed that these niggas is organized stupid.
Shh. The timing of these Instagram DMs will be used by the state to make the case that those messages amount to an admission by YNW Melly of his guilt. A few messages later.
Motive? Who the fuck knows when these niggas is popping pills? It could be any motive they talking about, because you know niggas ratting. The motive, the niggas is out of control. But not that crazy. He didn't shoot the driver. They just left the studio. Like, what transpired that was so ill that these niggas, how would they even be sleeping on you? And how would you be able to shoot both of them? You know what I'm saying? As soon as the blick go off, you're in, the first time, the other niggas, I don't know.
The man YNW Melly was talking to messages Melly once again, telling him there's a SIG 9 on the market. The state would likely assume the SIG 9 is slang for some sort of firearm on the streets. YNW Melly replied to the message saying, "I want it." Law enforcement will try to match the firearm shells that were found at the scene of the crime to what they believe is a SIG 9. YNW Melly's phone revealed most of the evidence in this court case. In more evidence files, it states that these particular cell phones, which were both iPhone 10s, were on the T-Mobile network. And so T-Mobile has a very interesting feature where it will tell you the environment, the cell phone.
T-Phone 10 work on the T-Mobile network. And so T-Mobile has a very interesting feature where it will tell you the environment the cell phone is in. So from these cell phone records, I can tell you the exact moment Jamel Demons, his last name is Demons, got out of the car at the, man.
So from these cell phone records, I can tell you the exact moment Demons got out of the car. It states the drive-by location. Also on YNW Melly's cell phone, they found a video on it. The evidence reports, and I quote, "Then also we have a video of Mr. Demons admitting to doing it."
They know that shit is a SIG sword, Shakira. They know where it is. Nigga wax at the arm is formerly known as gone.
Act towards 2 individuals in the head. This video was on Mr. Demon's cell phone, which was brought to my office by Jamison Francos. And that's how we had that. And that's all of the evidence that Your Honor has. With only the courtroom seeing the video, sources say on YNW Melly's cell phone, there was a 15-second video. YNW Melly admits to doing the act towards Juvie and Sack Chaser, while doing a hand motion of him mocking and using a firearm. This evidence makes sense when you hear what the witness said. The lead detective on the case said in disposition that YNW Sack Chaser was set to receive around $200,000 from his record label. The police attempted to subpoena 300 Entertainment during their investigation in order to investigate this. The detective explained that the company refused to honor our subpoena. YNW Sack Chaser's mother, Jana Thompson, expanded on the 200.
What? Sack Chaser's mother, Janet Thompson, expanded on a $200,000 payment in a March 2020 deposition, though she specified that she didn't know exactly who the alleged payment was from or what it was for. She said that her son reached out to her a few days before he passed. So he just got $200,000. Oh man, this nigga is buried. Y'all know what this is saying right now? This nigga just buried his fucking self and used his mom's.
Hear what the witness said. The lead detective on the case said in disposition that YNW Sack Chaser was set to receive around $200,000 from his record label. The police attempted to subpoena 300 Entertainment during their investigation in order to investigate this. The detective explained that the company refused to honor our subpoena.
They said we ain't got shit to do with none of this.
YNW Sack Chaser's mother, Jana Thompson, expanded on the $200,000 payment. In a March 2022 deposition, though she specified that she didn't know exactly who the alleged payment was from or what it was for, she said that
I think they mean expounded. I don't think they mean expanded.
her son reached out to her a few days before he passed. She says, "My son hysterically called me and said he was very concerned about my whereabouts. He was concerned about his sister's whereabouts. He's concerned like something is going to happen to us. And he told me that he would not get his money." She continued saying, "He said, I'm probably not going to get my $200,000. I'm probably not even going to get my money, Ma." Around the time YNW Sack Chaser passed, his music career was taking flight.
Wow.
Dropping hit songs such as Tropical and Back End got the attention of YNW Melly and his music label. According to records, they claim that YNW Melly did the act towards YNW Sack Chaser to avoid paying him $200,000 to join his record label. If this turns out to be true, YNW Melly will be eligible for penalty as he used money as a motive. This explains
This is
why
crazy.
the prosecutors aren't interested in putting YNW Melly behind bars for life. They instead want the penalty as the parents of YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser want justice for what happened to their boys. YNW Sack Chaser's mother spoke about her son's situation with YNW Melly. We see YNW Melly's lawyers ask Sack Chaser's mom, "I would like you to tell me what information you have gathered."
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But he hung himself without any of that. He hung himself. He hung himself.
Show that this felony was committed for pecuniary gain. Sack Chaser's mother's lawyer replied, "Please tell me what your definition of pecuniary gain is."
Oh, so
Melly's
that was Sack Chaser's balls. My bad.
By statute, it means he committed this crime to make money of what you have. Sack Chaser's mother's lawyer replied, "Well, there was, and through a search warrant through Facebook, as well as though Jana Williams' testimony, there was money that was being brought to or was going to be awarded to Anthony Williams,
Damn.
aka Sack Chaser. Mr. Williams was supposed to get
Thank
about
you, Shakira.
$200,000, and that was in text, and also I believe in Facebook messaging, as
My
well as
sister
the
said
mother's
it best.
testimony.
This goose
And
is
that money
cooked.
apparently was never obtained by Mr. Williams. Melly's lawyers asked, "Okay, do you know who's going to allegedly pay that $200,000 to Mr. Williams?" They replied,
Wow.
"Well, I believe it was going to come through the record label that was paid out. That, I don't know." All of this information was released to the courtroom in March 2022. After this evidence was released, this photo of YNW Melly was taken. As seen from this photo, YNW Melly doesn't really look like YNW Melly anymore. YNW Melly's reaction in court from witnesses was that he seemed nervous. YNW Melly in court at the time was told his case was being pushed back until May 23rd. It was pushed back due to the large sum of evidence that I shared earlier.
Damn.
YNW Melly and his lawyers now need to come out with defense against it. Sadly, there's more evidence against him. And these new pages of
My
evidence.
nigga, why would he go to trial? Why would this man go to trial? Salute the Remy girl. Fucking sex. That's the first thing I said. That's the first thing I said. I guess it's supposed to be like a sack of money. To me, it sounds like a sack of nuts. I mean,
Side, we're at
it is what it is.
They're claiming after running ballistic reports, all signs of who did the act towards Julie.
Y'all listen to the beginning of this video. That's the first thing I said. As soon as I heard the name again, I was like, man, pause.
Was sitting in YNW Melly's seat inside of the car.
All right, let me let y'all see this shit. I'm not that. I'm gonna do God's work. Yeah, God's work. Hey, yo, Sack. Yo, Rat Chaser. That's how you gotta call him out the window when you try to get the key to the building.
The photo where everyone was sitting inside of the vehicle. YNW Portland being the driver.
Or chase. I don't even, you know what? What are you chasing, my nigga? Sound like you chasing niggas' balls. My bad. Starfall. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Let me stop playing. For people that's not from New York, we gotta understand. Or, like we kind of like that's some Porsche. The name is Porsche. Rest in peace to the young man.
The vehicle and YNW Melly
Gotta
sitting
do better.
behind him, with YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser sitting in the opposite side of the vehicle. Using what's called the stick method, they use plastic sticks to match the trajectory of the firearm that was used.
Nah, not Dick Ryder Records. Dick Records.
Defense against it. Sadly, there's more evidence against him. And these new pages of evidence, They're claiming after running ballistic reports, all signs of who did the act towards Julie and Sack Chaser were sitting in YNW Melly's seat inside of the car. Here's the photo where everyone was sitting inside of the
Now, the
vehicle.
only way he gonna get out of this is if he could prove somebody was in his lap.
YNW Portland being the driver of the vehicle, and YNW Melly sitting behind him, with YNW Julie and YNW Sack Chaser sitting in the opposite side of the vehicle. Using what's called the stick method, they used plastic sticks to match the trajectory of the firearm that was used. The trajectory from YNW Melly's seat showed a perfect match to where YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Julie were affected. Once brought to the hospital, also in new evidence reports, it claims that
So the one that was in the front got bullets in the back of his body, and the one that's on the side of him got him on the side. What a coincidence.
Using what's called the stick method, they used plastic sticks to match the trajectory of the firearm that was used. The trajectory from YNW Melly's seat showed a perfect match to where YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Julie were affected. Once brought to the hospital, also in new evidence reports, it claims that once the act was done, inside the vehicle, law enforcement were able to use YNW Melly's cell phone as a GPS tracking device. They were able to see YNW Melly walking around in a circle motion at the time of law enforcement believes the act was done. The theory is, after the act was done in the vehicle, YNW Melly stepped out of the car and roughed up the
car and clapped the car up, went around it like it was a drive-by.
car from the outside using his firearm to make it appear as if it went through a drive-by. This theory seems to be true as the shells from the firearm that they found outside the vehicle matches the shells that were found under the floor mats inside the vehicle near YNW Melly's seat. So, with everything
They found the shell cases in the fucking floor mat of the car. Cooked goose.
172nd Miramar Parkway.
Okay. Going to the second part of State's C.
So yeah, that's that face, man.
Please, if you'd be so kind.
No, you don't see his co-defendant nowhere.
The Sunset Lakes and Silver Lakes community you described earlier. Can you show where they are here?
This is going to be Silver Lakes here, and then over here on this side and this side is Sunset Lakes. Although this here is like a shopping center for Sunset Lakes. And there's another development here, I can't remember the name of it, but this here is Sunset Lakes and runs west.
And Sunset Lakes you're doing is west of 184.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were speaking with Mr. Henry, did he give you an address at what location he was residing?
He did.
Do you recall that address as to where he was living?
It was in Sunset Lakes.
Okay. Is there anything that would refresh your recollection as to exactly what address was given?
In this state.
So I'm gonna first start, I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's D for identification purposes only. Look at that and do not show that to the jury. Does that map fairly and accurately depict Miramar from from State Road, Pembroke Road at the north, south to County Line Road, from I-75 west to the western edge of the Sunset Lakes development?
Yes.
Here at this time, the state would request to move States D in as States 4 and request permission to publish.
No objections. It'll be admitted.
Now hold on for a second. This is from yesterday. This is the same trial. This is when it happened, because this was from yesterday, right? Now, peep game. This part is when the prosecutor talk about when he's saying, yeah, I did that shit. So they're gonna show how they got that evidence right here.
On October 26th of 2018, this defendant shot and killed 2 of his friends. He killed Christopher Thomas and Anthony Williams. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to set out the story and how this unfolded and lay out what I expect the evidence will show during the course of this trial. First thing you're going to hear is that at 4:35 a.m. on October 26th of 2018, Cortland Henry, the co-defendant, shows up at Memorial Miramar Hospital. In his car, he has 2 dead bodies. In the front passenger seat is Anthony Williams. In the rear passenger seat is Christopher Thomas. They are dead, they are riddled with bullets, and the car is full of blood. Christopher Thomas is sitting in the rear. There is multiple defects to his body. Anthony Williams, who is sitting in the front, has 2 major injuries. Officer Jessica Amangor is working a detail at the hospital. Cortland Henry runs in, starts telling a story about a drive-by.
YNW Melly had to be fucking that boy.
Quote, drive-by. Cortland Henry, and you're going to learn a lot about Miramar geography during the course of this trial, tells a story that he and his buddies, just the 2 that are in the car, were at...
Like, nigga, you the one that killed them. The fuck I look like going, you know what I'm saying, and driving these niggas. Nigga, you don't know my record already, bro? You just said you love me? You hate me. You want me to drive these dead niggas? You killed these motherfuckers, nigga. I'm going home. I should have been walking home and you should have been driving these niggas somewhere. The fuck I gotta do with this shit? I'm glad you ain't kill me. Who to say you ain't gonna kill me next? Killing all the rest of your friends. 4 o'clock in the morning studio, man. Trying to make a hit. I wonder what that song was. You know what I'm saying? Right now, guess what? If they sold that shit, if they auction that shit off, some demented motherfucker out here pay top dollar to get that song. Let me hear what y'all recorded. I want to hear what y'all recorded. Probably talking about how you love your homies and all that. Old boy knew he was going to die. Sack chaser, pause. Knew he was going to die. He knew he was going to die. He knew he was going to die. And why 300 records, 300 entertainment, excuse me, you know what I'm saying, go quiet out of nowhere? Like nah, fuck that. And who in the, I mean, how do you unsubpoena yourself? This is crazy. They just didn't cooperate is what they said. You know what I'm saying?
Music studio here in downtown Fort Lauderdale at 805 Northeast 4th Avenue. He's going to tell law enforcement, and you're going to hear this statement. You're going to hear the actual audio of him telling law enforcement. We were at the recording studio. We drove home because they lived out in West Miramar. You're going to hear Cortland say that they come across in the path of travel, that they're getting off the highway on I-75 southbound to go west on Miramar Parkway. And you're going to hear that on Miramar Parkway, sometime between 160th, which is also commonly referred to as Dykes Road, and 172nd, Cortland Henry says they were shot at. That he ducked down, and you'll see him doing that in the video, and that he didn't see any car, he didn't see any people, he has no information, and that he quickly went to the nearest hospital. So you're going to learn that when you go on Miramar Parkway and you take that right at 172, Memorial Miramar is just about 1 mile north. So the distance between most major intersections in Broward County is 1 mile. So you're going to learn that from 160th to 172nd, 1 mile. From 172nd to the next major intersection on Miramar Parkway, 184th, 1 mile. So you're going to hear and find that Mr. Henry's statement that the car is traveling westbound on Memorial Parkway, then goes north on 172nd and shows up at the hospital for the drive-by is completely and utterly false. How can I tell you that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the detectives from Miramar at this point shut down the entire length of Miramar Parkway from 160th to 172nd. And they sit and they walk side by side for an hour, that mile-long stretch, looking for evidence of this drive-by. Because evidence
no glass
is the remnants a crime leaves behind. And in this case, the lack of evidence is very important.
Yeah, because how did the bullets get past you and hit homie on his left-hand side? You know what I'm saying? That's what they asking.
There's a lack of any evidence whatsoever to support that a drive-by happened on Miramar Parkway. What would they look for? Shell casings, glass fragments, projectiles, tire marks. You're going to hear that there is none of that found whatsoever. So then they said, well, maybe we have the time frame wrong. Maybe we have the location wrong. So they walk an additional mile from 172 to 184th. Still nothing. No broken glass, no projectiles, no fire casings.
Damn.
Detectives know they have a Jeep that they are looking at the Memorial Miramar Hospital that has 16 easily identifiable bullet defects. It has a broken out rear view window and 2 broken side windows on the passenger side. Things aren't adding up. So detectives work backwards. They are then able to determine that 805 Northeast 4th address is a recording studio, and that the recording studio is equipped with cameras. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see footage from both inside and outside of that recording studio. You're going to learn that on the morning of the 26th at approximately 1 p.m., detectives went out to the recording studio to try and see if somebody had followed the victims, to find out how they knew where they were going to be to set up this drive-by.
They waxing shit.
In the video, that is the first.
Yeah. My bad, putos.
Hi, I'm Kevin Roach. I'm a professor here at
I hear you, bro. I hear you, bro.
am going to be guiding you
Peace,
along
man.
the journey of
Get up out of here. Get your life.
Detectives learned that there was actually 4 people in that gray Jeep, and that the defendant, Jamel Demons, is in the rear driver's side seat. So let me set the scene for you at the recording studio, because there's actually 8 young men there. You're going to hear
8.
They arrived at the recording studio. Not much was getting done. They were tired. They left at 3:19, and they got into 2 vehicles. So first vehicle is a red Mitsubishi SUV.
Now that was the vehicle to be in.
In that red Mitsubishi SUV, 4 individuals get into it. Travion Glass, Dontavius Withers, Jacoby Mills, and Adrian Davis. They are in the red Mitsubishi. In the gray Jeep, you have the driver, Cortland Henry, rear driver's side passenger, Jamel Demons, Anthony Williams in the front seat, and Cortland Henry again, the driver, Christopher Thomas in the rear. What you will find and what you will hear, ladies and gentlemen, is that this gray Jeep leaves the recording studio, goes over to I-95, takes I-95 south to 595, 595 across to I-75 south, I-75 south to Miramar Parkway. You're going to see traffic cameras from the Department of Transportation that show the cars going across 595, one after the other. In those videos, you're not going to see them stop. And it's just a small portion of which is covered by cameras on that. But then what you're going to see is the cell phone evidence.
Oh man, that's what buried this nigga.
The digital leash.
The digital leash.
That is carried around in everyone's pocket.
The digital
in everyone's
leash.
car, used on a daily basis. Because you're going to see,
With no drawers.
as Jamel Demons leaves that recording studio, he's got his phone in his hand, and he's playing on his phone.
Uh-oh.
You're going to see on that phone information that Anthony Williams had his phone with him. And the interesting fact that's important to keep in mind is Anthony Williams, the deceased in the front passenger seat, and Jamel Demons, who is the shooter, in the rear driver's side passenger seat, have the exact same make and model of cell phone. Not only do they have the same make and model of cell phone, They are on the exact same cell phone plan. They're using the same service, the same cell towers, everything like that. So you can compare the information from those two cell phones and see how they track together. Christopher Thomas, who's the deceased in the rear passenger seat, he had an iPhone as well, and he was on the Sprint service at the time. In the other car, that red Mitsubishi, Dontavius Withers also had a Sprint service cell phone. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have individuals in two cars, and all of the cell phone tracks together, going across 595, going until they get to Miramar Parkway and 184th. At 184th, the red Mitsubishi goes south, and you will then see it at 3:50 a.m. going through the guard gate at Sunset Lakes. That was the gated community in which the individuals were all living at the time of this homicide in October of 2018. On the Sunset Lakes guard video, the red Mitsubishi goes through, the gray Jeep doesn't. The gray Jeep instead goes north and then proceeds to go to the actual scene of the homicides. The gray Jeep goes north on 184th up to Pines Boulevard. From Pines Boulevard, it travels west all the way to the edge of the Everglades, where it is desolate, where it is dark, where there are no witnesses. The gray Jeep goes down south on US 27 and turns left on Pembroke Road. You're going to learn that Pembroke Road does not connect through. That right there, Pembroke Road dead ends at a trash facility. That at that recycling facility, you're not going to see people. You're not going to see activity. There's no street lights. And at 4:02 a.m., Jamel Demons exits that vehicle and stages that driveway. Because, ladies and gentlemen, remember, at this time, Miramar is going and working backwards. They're looking for communication to figure out how and why and how the location of this Jeep was known, why they would be targeted. At that point, there is no communication. You're not going to see any sort of phone calls, any sort of text messages going out, setting up any sort of meeting at the edge of the Everglades at 4 in the morning. What you are going to find is that after the surveillance footage is brought up, some of these other individuals...
His homie probably didn't even know he was about to buck the other two.
Oh no, we stopped. We stopped the car and Mr. Demons on the side of the highway got out of the gray Jeep and got into the red Mitsubishi. But ladies and gentlemen, it's important to know and look at the details.
You already Waxito.
Details. Because the details don't match up. One person says, oh, it's at this location. One person says it's over here on the side of the road. Look at what the physical evidence shows, and that's what I would suggest to you as the most reliable things. So on the physical evidence, the Jeep is towed to the Miramar substation, and a search warrant is executed on it. And at that point, officers, crime scene technicians, and investigators start going through the contents of the Jeep. And all of the ballistic from the drive-by are all coming from the passenger side in towards the driver's side. And then from the rear of the vehicle, forwards towards the front. The medical examiner's office is also conducting an investigation. You're going to hear testimony about the autopsies that were conducted on Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas. And this is when the suspicion, the investigation takes a turn. Because at that point, the fatal wounds for Christopher Thomas and Anthony Williams are coming from inside the vehicle, from the rear driver's side passenger going out towards the passenger side. The other interesting thing the medical examiner's office is going to tell you is that when the drive-by was staged at 4:02 a.m., the victims were already dead. The medical examiner will be able to testify and tell you that the fatal shots to Anthony Williams, to his head, that enters in the back of his head and exits at the top, blowing out the front passenger window, was fatal. And that the additional wounds that are consistent with the trajectories going through the vehicle, he's already dead.
Damn.
They are post-mortem inflicted gunshot wounds. The same for Christopher Thomas.
Boy, out of here.
You will hear from the medical examiner's office that Dr. McDougall and Dr. Souther, who conducted the autopsies, that Christopher Thomas was shot in his left cheek. That was the fatal shot for him.
Wow.
You're also going to hear about stippling. Stippling
Ain't
is
time for real.
unburnt gunpowder that's
Wow.
ejected from the front of a firearm when a bullet is fired. The best way to describe that and make it easy to understand,
He slayed
you
himself.
have a handful of
Tornado.
sand, soot, and a golf ball. You throw it. The golf ball is going to go the furthest because it has the most weight, the most mass. The sand weighs a little bit more than the soot, so it's going to go a little bit further, but not as far as the golf ball. The ash, the soot, has almost no weight, no mass. Therefore, it can't have any energy put into it, falls very quickly. So that is the same principle that comes to gunshot residue and the powder tattooing that you're going to hear about, the stippling. The bullet.
He cooked himself when he made up that story. Everything else was just extra dessert for this case.
Travels the furthest. The gunshot residue, the powder tattooing, the stippling, creates a pattern. And from that pattern, the medical examiner's office can give an approximate distance. Why can they not give an exact one? Because their firearm in this case was never recovered. Law enforcement made diligent efforts to go and dive multiple canals, search multiple areas, apartments, storage units. They were never able to find the firearm. So without the actual firearm that was used in this case, you can't accurately and reliably recreate a distance determination. Common sense, ladies and gentlemen. The things that you learned in elementary school science about conducting science experiments, they apply just as much now as they did then. You have to minimize the number of variables. That's the only way to get an accurate experiment. So if you don't know the type of gun, you can't minimize the variables to get that distance determination. So what you're also going to hear is while law enforcement is going through that Jeep, they find one spent shell casing for a .40 caliber firearm. Why is that important? That shows a gun was fired inside of that car. You're going to hear that at once the location of US 27 and Pembroke Road was discovered, law enforcement goes out to that area as well. And there they locate an additional 8 shell casings, .40 caliber. But the interesting thing about that is that doesn't happen on October 26th of 2018. This happens on November 21st, almost a month later. Because that's when law enforcement gets the reliable cell phone tracking data that they use to determine that's the area that they need to be searching. Because at that location is where the cell phones of Christopher Thomas, Anthony Williams, and Jamel Demons all line up at 4:02 a.m.
Terrible.
That point, afterwards, Mr. Demons' phone tracks with the 2 victims until about 4:20. So 15 minutes before Portland Henry takes the victims to the hospital. During those...
Pay attention. I have no idea why every family in America hasn't claimed this yet. A lot of people are going to be really mad when they realize how much they've
Niggas is
missed
going
out
to
on.
jail fucking with that insurance shit right now.
As to where the path went. You're going to hear that law enforcement then searched that path again looking for trace evidence, such as firearms. They didn't find it. But you're also going to hear that Jamel Demons, on the side of the road, made a FaceTime video chat.
This way he fuck up at.
At that point, he starts setting up the story. He FaceTimes his girlfriend at the time, Mariah Hamilton. Mariah Hamilton gets the phone call and screams, waking up her mother, Felicia Holmes. Felicia Holmes also sees the defendant, Jamel Demons, on that FaceTime video call. And you're going to learn, ladies and gentlemen, that that's a data event on a cell phone.
Uh-oh.
That it's not a call for the purposes of the cell phone companies. It's using data, accessing the internet. Felicia Holmes and Mariah Hamilton see Jamel Demons
If we ain't doing nothing else, we learning how to beat a body.
outside, and he is saying he's just
A brand you can trust.
drive-by, and he thinks Anthony Williams and Chris Thomas are dead. So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Demons is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin.
She look like Uncle Fester with hair behind him. It look like the hairs on the wall. The stenographer I'm talking
Digital
about.
homing beacon to his current location.
What I'm saying is that it don't look like the hair belong to him, her.
To one of his friends, Frederick Gibbons. Frederick Gibbons is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Gibbons then, about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin where Mr. Demons has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone calls, accessing the internet.
Come on, man. Get to
They
it.
have health data. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I ain't gonna lie. This is why they be finding niggas guilty, because these motherfuckers be taking so long to say.
Find and hear and be able to see the videos at the recording studio and see Mr. Demons taking steps. Lo and behold, look at the health activity data, a pedometer, a step counter, that's what it is. 70 steps. Then you're going to see at 4:02 a.m. another 70 steps. Then at 4:42, the time frame in which he's sending that drop in to 4:53 a.m., you're going to see 1,397 steps.
Well, you know, sidebar. Everybody know Jim Stone is a lover boy. He tell ladies, you know.
See this data showing.
So you gotta watch that, Jimmy.
Had the phone and was using it. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I have to prove is the defendant committed the crime. And to do that, the state intends to show the evidence that the phone was there at the murder scene. And there were no other phones there. There is no one else out there at 4 in the morning. So to do that, the state has to convince each and every one of you that this was the phone of the defendant.
Word, Mike.
You'll see in the messages and the contents of those messages him identifying himself.
That could hurt the prosecution. Let's not get it twisted, because you gotta remember, there's regular people sitting on the jury, getting tired, they hungry.
This is Melly, giving out that phone number to multiple people as being his phone number. 772-713-9807.
Damn.
And to further prove that, the state is going to show you the Instagram, the Facebook, the Snapchat. Because contrary to popular belief, Snapchat doesn't disappear. And detectives were able to write a search warrant and get contents of Snapchat. And there are things that are there, and there are things that are not. And so, ladies and gentlemen, specifically, the Instagram The defendant, during the course of the months of October of 2018 through December of 2018, gives out his phone number 15 times. Says, this is me, and all during the same time frame of October 26th of 2018, he's giving out that phone number. So one of the other elements that you heard about initially was that this was committed by a criminal gang member in furtherance of a criminal gang.
Word, Josh.
So what you will learn from the evidence, from the Instagram, from the private messages, was that Jamel Demons is a member of the G Shine Blood set.
Uh-oh.
This is not a stage personality. This is not an actor that's playing a character. This was his real life. Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, she snuck that in.
that as soon as October 24th, 2 days before the homicide, Jamel Demons is learning the oath of loyalty to the G-Shine Blood set.
Wow. Wow.
You're going to see things in these messages that will be indicative of blood membership.
Shit, it look like the same thing they doing to everybody, just trying to put gang shit on everybody.
Anytime a word...
Let's make it easier. Let's throw a bunch of gang shit, gang jargon up in there. You know what I'm saying? You know, like this. Let's just really get it there. You know what I'm saying? He's saying I am a blood, but it's either he's already a blood or he's just taking the oath. What are we talking about? Let's get right.
As in Charlie, they don't use that. They replace it with the letter B.
With letter B.
So instead of saying I'm at the crib, they say I'm at the
Brib. Okay.
Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because C is associated with cribs. B is for bloods. So if you look through all the messages, you will notice time and...
This nigga was Googling how to be a blood online. Like, let's just keep the gang shit out, man. Can we just finish? I mean, he already got crazy evidence. Now
Time again. Jamel Demons is dropping C's and using B's. And you're going to see pictures, you're going to see videos of the defendant doing something called stacking, which is a way to show a gang affiliation and to broadcast it to the world. And this is not just in music videos. This is not just in lyrics.
Wow.
Because we're not going to get into that. That's artistic expression. That's not why we are here today. We are here because the defendant murdered 2 individuals. So in summary, the last thing I want to tell you that the evidence will show is that in the Instagram, because the defendant had a moderate social media following at the time of these events, people are reaching out to him.
As bad as it looks, and as much as they, you know, people saying that he's already finished, guess what? Right? She didn't even perform yet. She didn't perform. Only thing she's doing is telling you what they have so far. There's no theories here. She's just basically laying it out. So we don't even know if she could perform or not. His lawyer might tear all that shit apart.
Some fans, some friends, some associates. You'll see on October 26th, after about 8 a.m. in the morning, Eastern time, multiple messages are coming in. Messages are coming in from individuals checking to see if he's okay, if he's been injured in this drive-by. If it's true that Anthony Williams...
And the lawyers that's representing this nigga got to be on the opposite side of I don't know, man. I don't know. All money ain't good money to me. You know what I'm saying? Now, if they really believe that he's honest and they know the evidence, we don't know as much as they got. This lady's telling you what she got on her side.
Who's also sometimes referred to as Zach, and Chris Thomas.
Oh boy might say the nigga that brought him in there is the one that did it. You know what I'm saying? I was scared to death, man. Plus I was high. I got on the internet. He told me to go on the internet. I don't know.
Referred to as Judy are really dead. One individual, and specifically, sends out, and I want to quote the message exactly that you will hear, and says, right after this, Yo, homie, you good? Let me know something. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is where context matters. What does that mean? If you work at Google and you say, my whole floor is coding, that's a good thing. If you work at Broward General Hospital and you say, my whole floor is coding, that is a bad thing. The context around the messages matters. So in the context of this message, this individual is reaching out, asking if Mr. Demons is good, after he's been tagged in multiple social media posts about this drive-through.
Objection.
This shooting.
Yo, homie.
And Mr. Demons responds very succinctly, I did that.
I did that.
Shh. Ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of the evidence, the state is confident that you will find the defendant guilty as charged of the first-degree murder of Christopher Thomas and Anthony Williams. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's get back to this, man. Nasty schmasty. I want to get to that part when she dropped the mic. Pause. Let me see what these people are saying real quick.
Got a minute left for you.
Man, they just eating off this nigga. They doing some wholesale eating around this joint. Got the man they call Gemstone in the backstage. Nasty. Don't play no games. Dun, 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 dun. Nasty. Dun, dun, dun.
Yo, Max, salute. What up, G?
Jimmy Stone in the building.
Shit, what it is, play?
No, I'm just trying to see why these niggas want to play.
When the prosecution talked, they said on the roads that were given to them by the defendants or this defendant, Melly also, they didn't find evidence of guns. They didn't find evidence of firearms. They didn't find evidence of shell casings. But like, if you're a murderer, you're not gonna like drop your gun there and say, oh, let me run away, you know, let me leave it there. And you may even pick up your shell casing. So what does this mean for the prosecution?
You know, I mean, that's the thing, is they have evidently some DNA forensic.
Hold up, let's go back. Let's go back to when she drops the midnight. When she drops the midnight. Okay. Maybe that was right before this. I don't know.
That are going to prove that the shot came from in the back seat where Melly was sitting. And we have not yet heard that testimony. To me, that's kind of the most critical forensic testimony we're going to hear. Of course, all of this location testimony is important as well, but I'm very interested in seeing how concrete that forensic evidence they supposedly have is.
Yeah, I think we have a lot to come. I think both of you are right. Well, I want to thank both of you for being on, listening to.
I mean, you got to put them in the seat. You know what I'm saying? If you got to put them in the seat. See, I'm gonna say, like us, this shit's open and shut. You know what I mean? But there's so much they got to prove in order to get a nigga, you know what I'm saying, a guilty verdict.
This testimony, we just got into some really important testimony. I know earlier was a little dry, but you explained it so well that it's just always a pleasure. And always, we didn't get a chance to talk, but the prosecution ended.
You talk too much. Let's hear the beginning of what you was talking about.
And the transcripts must rely on what you hear, not what you read. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Starting with the shorter of the two.
That's the last portion of it.
All right, I'm gonna continue part 2 of this tonight, man. Right now, I gotta go get my little man. You know what I'm saying? Got some things to do. Tomorrow's my son's birthday. You feel me? So yeah. That old thing. Jimmy, what's up, bro? I don't know what Gemstone doing. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get back with this tonight, though. You know what I'm saying? We get part 2 tonight. See what's up. Salute.